So I want to let y'all in. I want to share something private that me and my wise man discussed rather frequently. It pains me to say this, but SmackDown in the Universal Championship, it wasn't enough. So I went to WrestleMania and I smashed Cowboy Brock, and I took Monday Night Raw, and I took the WWE Championship.
That's our champion.
So when we're talking about what's the next step for the tribal chief, I don't really think I can do much more. I done did it all, you know? But there's still plenty left for the bloodline to achieve. You see, this week there's so many videos, so many historical pictures that were taken of the bloodline, and I couldn't help but to keep seeing one thing. I saw my two titles, but the only thing that I really saw was my cousins only have two titles. Hear me out. I'm just one man with two titles. Clearly, there are two men with two titles, and that's not enough. You see, Jay, what did I tell you a long time ago? I said we was going to elevate you to heights that you never knew. I told you we was going to lift you up. We was going to show you greatness. And there's only one way to do that. It's time that we unify the tag team championships as well. I want y'all to go to Raw, and I want y'all to bring me those Raw tag team championships. I want you to go and get those for yourselves, because when you get them for yourselves, you won't get them for our bloodline, you understand? Is that a deal? Well, there you have it. The bloodline's gonna have all the gold soon.
Hey guys, this is Mr. Havens, the Argyle assassin himself, giving them all the shivers. And you're listening to DB, Primo, AJ, here on the Sit Down Marks podcast, the best podcast for professional wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following Sit Down Marks podcast is set for one fall. Introduce first your heel host that is always helping to spread the good word of wrestling, Dirty Bird. Next up, the co-host from the land of the rattlesnake, Mr. Team Extreme, editor and producer, Primo. And finally, your co-host, straight out of your mama's kitchen, driver of the grip wagon, straight off a cliff, assistant editor and producer, AJ.
What's up, people? It is Wednesday, so that means it is the Sit Down Marks podcast. It is your boys. We're back for episode number 59. Appreciate it there, everybody. Appreciate it there, TW Ward, the voice of Memphis Wrestling, always bringing us in correct each and every week. Welcome to the Best Kept Secret in Wrestling podcast. That's right. It's us right here. Thank you for joining right now on all those podcast platforms. And want to thank everybody listening, as always, on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all those out there, and especially on Friday, SportzWire Online Radio, 6:15 Eastern Time, right before the Thomas Bryce Show, and throughout the week. Please tell a friend, like the pod, leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. And we want to thank our sponsors and, of course, the guy, over on Facebook, Jet Designs. He's cranking out those fire custom die casts each and every week. So make sure you get in touch with Jet Designs. That's right, JET Designs on Facebook, and get your custom die cast card made for yourself, your fantasy league, your company, whatever it is, man. He can make it happen. Go check out Jet Designs over on Facebook. What's going on, boys? Welcome, man. How you guys feeling today?
Hello.
You're looking extra awesome today, by the way, Primo.
You are. Yes, that's a fantastic look. It suits you.
Well, thank you. I thought I would embody these guys above me right here. They really inspired me this week. So I just pay them a little tribute here. Throw a little mullet love. You know, I didn't choose the mullet. Okay, the mullet chose me.
It's a lovely Kentucky waterfall.
He's referring to the lovely mullets from the 80s because we are reviewing the Midnight Express versus the Rock and Roll Express from Wrestle War 1990s when the luscious locks of the mullet were flowing. It wasn't even called a mullet then. It wasn't.
It was just
coined.
hair.
It was just hair.
Right.
It wasn't called a mullet until the Beastie Boys invented it in like 1994 or something like that. I think
you're right. I mean, it was basically just style
it was just
around then. Yeah. So so it's going to be fun to check out here. So, all right, let's get this thing rolling with the Pop of the Pod jukebox. What's famous, old, new, classic, whatever entrance theme will you bring us today? Oh, great one.
Oh yeah! Woo!
Man, good stuff right there.
Not a big fan of that song.
You didn't like that one?
The "Oh yeah" at the beginning it always sounded too much like Kid Rock, so I was like, yeah.
No,
I hate Kid Rock, so I'm like, yeah, fuck you.
No, I hear it the same. I always think it sounds like Kid Rock, and I never have before. So
you're welcome.
I have a confession. Also, I do like that song, AJ, and your opinion doesn't matter.
I mean, this is valid. It's true. You can't argue with the mullet.
I liked it. I thought it was very.
I am a big fan of it.
Thinking from back when it came out.
It was a very clear and abrupt change from to be V1, from the regular Hardy Boys song.
V1 now.
Still sounds like Kid Rock, so fuck off.
I mean, I also like Kid Rock, so maybe that's why I like
it. All right, AJ, take us through history right now. What's going on this day?
I don't even know. On this day in wrestling history, which is April 13th for all you marks out there. In 1960, back when Dirty was seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time, getting his dress all pressed and going to the Ed Sullivan Show and screaming for the Beatles. We all knew you were there, Dirty. These are some of my favorite names ever. Hard Boiled Haggerty and Butcher Vachon defeated Lord James Blears and Herb Freeman to win the NWA Hawaiian Tag Team title in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Very nice.
Remember that match?
Nice.
Do you? Mm-hmm.
I don't recall that one. That one doesn't ring a bell.
You were too busy swooning over the Beatles.
I probably was. I mean, they were hot at the time, man. Everybody was.
I mean, I wasn't alive, so I don't know. We're gonna skip all the way to 1990, which is an interesting event in the Tokyo Dome. One of the rare WWE and All Japan Pro Wrestling crossovers. In the main event, Stan Hansen was defeated by none other than brother Hulk Hogan. I'm sure grandstanding and hot dogging ensued. In other matches, Andre the Giant teamed with Giant Baba to defeat Demolition. Tenryu defeated Macho Man Randy Savage. And Bret Hart fought to a 20-minute draw with Tiger Mask. Very cool.
Interesting.
Fast forward 7 years, and something that we've covered already on the show, so I won't say much about it. Barely Legal, ECW's first ever pay-per-view, debuted today in 1997. If you want to learn all about that pay-per-view, go and listen to our December 16th episode, I think it was. Because we went over the
Yeah,
whole
December
thing
was
there.
a full month of ECW.
Yes, it was. And in the main event, I will say that Taz defeated Sabu, and then there was a double turn, and then Fonzie, like the true fuckstick that he is, decides to side with the loser as opposed to the guy who just won the match. Like, fucking Fonzie, get your goddamn whistle and shove it up your fucking two-hole. So those are the main things that happened today on this day in wrestling history. I have one birthday that I want to mention, because it's Lita's birthday, and she still is just fantastic. And I threw that in there for fucking Team Extreme #1 fan up there with the mullet. So that is this day in wrestling history and birthdays.
I like it. Primo, anything in the headlines, man, after post-Mania here? Anything? What's going on?
Nothing like a good news giggle.
Well, let me get straight to it. The headlines. Let's see. Via WrestlingInc.com, Tony Khan says that ECW One Night Stand actually inspired his booking of Ring of Honor Supercard. One Night Stand is one of the greatest pay-per-views because they captured the spirit of ECW, Tony Khan says. He says, hey, we can do a show that captures the spirit of AEW, but I didn't want to do an AEW show. So he did Supercard of Honor, which is like, they went balls to the wall.
Right.
Yes, they did.
Next up, Liv Morgan. Speaking of WrestleMania. Liv Morgan, the whip that she used during her entrance. She put that whip up for auction, and she signed it. And the winning bid for that whip was $10,671.99.
First of all, how the fuck do you sign a whip?
Wow.
Like, how do you?
If you want to make $10,000 as a wrestler, either sell a whip or open OnlyFans. Oh!
Those are the two ways. Immediate $10,000.
It is.
I bet Liv Morgan would make more than $10,000 if she opened an OnlyFans. Just saying.
That's safe to say. Very safe to say.
Via WrestlingNews.co, Adam Scherr is trying to claim that Tony Khan pays dirt sheets and that AEW talent is being blackballed from Control Your Narrative shows.
Fucking Jesus Christ. Why? Why is he doing this?
Is he trying to control the narrative?
I mean, I'm not even going to mention the other thing he did this week where he got into a Twitter feud with Buff Bagwell.
Yeah, that was bad too.
Yeah, AJ Gray did too. I think Buff was getting into a lot of people this week.
Right.
It's because his name's fucking Buff. He has calf implants.
Yeah.
WWE announced on Twitter, this is pretty cool, for the first time in 30 years, WWE will bring a major stadium event to the United Kingdom at Principal Itista. Well, it's in Cardiff, Wales. This is September. More than 59,000 people pre-registered within the first 24 hours for this UK pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like that, man. Yeah. Yeah, good for all our UK friends over there. Don't get, too much mainstream, wrestling over there.
Well, there hasn't been a European tour due to COVID in a couple years.
Right, yeah. So this is awesome for them, man. Super pumped for those guys.
You have to watch it on like Sky Sports, and it's like 2 days after the fact. And
yeah.
Let me ask you a question, especially, in light of our recent personal pod news. Let me ask you a question, AJ. Have you ever wanted to be a wrestler? Is your thoughts, I want to succeed in Japan? Or
always, yes.
I will be #1 in Japan?
Because I often think that.
That's who they're looking for because pro wrestlers everywhere are wanted. Pro Wrestling Noah is now accepting applications from pro wrestlers all around the world.
I already sent mine in. Had an audition tape where I cut an Ultimate Warrior promo.
No bullshit. AJ. I can totally
gibberish.
see you as a referee.
A referee? I don't know. I don't think I'm in good enough shape for that. I'm going to get in shape and try it. That's a lot of work.
It is.
I've seen some independent referees that you are in a lot better shape than.
Well, yeah, but their cardio's probably better. I smoke cigarettes.
And finally, our last headline of the night, AEW has dropped a new shirt for the Blackpool Combat Club, and it draws its inspiration from Wheeler, which y'all will get into later, from Wheeler Yuta writing BCC in blood across his chest.
Fucking awesome. I want one, and I will order one.
Pretty cool.
Because I'm an adult and can order things. I don't have to
Absolutely.
wait for like my birthday or something like that.
You have adult money.
Yuta got his own shirt today too. I seen so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About time.
Pretty decent headlines there, Primo. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you for your contribution there. Looking
You're
sexy as looking better than ever today, should I say? So not sexier as ever, better than ever today. So if you get a chance, go check out the podcast on YouTube.com and search Sit Down Marks, and you can see exactly what we're talking about with Primo's new gimmick. You know, he's been Ego Primo. He's been Halloween Face Primo. You know, he's been painted
That was my
up
favorite
Primo. Yeah,
Primo Housen.
Yeah, Primo Housen.
Primo
He's been
Housen,
painted up Primo. A lot of different Primos, you know, but today he is Primo Express. I think that's
right.
what you call him.
Primo Express indeed.
The Midnight Primo.
That's the addition of all the mullets together. So come and give us a look, and you can see the latest pod right there, Primo.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Primo Express.
Primo Express. Right
That
there.
is horrific and lovely at the same time.
All right, time for AJ's segment here. Here we go. Let's see what he watched this weekend.
AJ's movie of the week.
Well, not to throw out any spoilers or anything there, but I'm going to retire AJ's movie of the week for a little bit, but I had one more, and I wanted to make it a good one, and this is a movie near and dear to my heart, and I'd never even considered it a movie that had anything to do with wrestling, but it does. The Princess Bride. One of my favorite fucking movies of all time, starring none other than Andre the Giant as Fezzik the Giant. And it's a fantastic movie. Like it is, of course, princess gets kidnapped, you know, 3 lovable rogues team up with the hero to, you know, save the princess in danger. It has Billy Crystal in it, and Andre the Giant steals the entire goddamn movie as Fezzik the Gentle Giant. I can still to this day recite every single line of that movie, and I have multiple t-shirts that say like, anybody want a peanut?
Would you like a peanut?
No more rhymes. No, I mean it. Anybody want a peanut? Like I have that shirt. I have the Brute Squad shirt because
It's a classic,
you know,
man.
it is fantastic. And I haven't brought it up. And I've been watching all these shitty movies, and I'm like, I'm gonna end on a fucking classic.
Your movie finale.
So for a while, I'm like, I'm gonna end on a high note. If you're if you were born between the years of 1975 and 1990, and you have not seen this movie, I pity you and your lack of a childhood. Go watch the movie. It's fantastic. Go watch it right now. Like, just stop listening to us and go watch it. Like, it doesn't even matter.
No, come back. Listen to us.
Okay, fine. Listen to us, I guess, and then go watch Andre the Giant and The Princess Bride. One of the best movies of all time.
So, AJ, for all the masses out there, what do you have in store for your segment here? You want to maybe give a little tease of what you're kind of working with to kind of see what we're looking for next week?
No cock
tease. It's going to be, give you a little cock tease.
Just
shorter things that we can all play along with. Get it? Because he said cock tease and I said shorter things he can play along with.
You're
welcome, you fucks.
Got him.
All right. Time for the fan shout out. If you want to shout out, all you got to do is DM us on Twitter or any of our social media platforms, Facebook or Instagram at Sit Down Marks, and let us know when and where you listen to the podcast, and we will shout you out on the pod. Today's comes from all the way across the pond, boys. Over in the UK, we got William that's been listening to us for a couple weeks now over in the UK. So thank you, William. Appreciate you and welcome, sir, to the Marks masses here, man. And appreciate you checking out the pod each and every week, brother.
Thank you, William. All the way from what part? Like England, or like Scotland or Ireland or Wales?
He said the northern UK is all he said. So
very good. It's cold up there, cold and rainy right now.
Yep.
I don't know why I know that.
Yeah, thank you, William. Thanks for listening. I bet he's pretty excited WWE finally gets to come across the pond again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's for real. Thank you, William. Thanks for listening. I mean, I apologize. I can no longer grace you as being the 2-time champion, but, you know, Primo Express is going to have to do for now.
Yeah, this is true. Just, you know, for all those that were worried, the Kurt Angle trophy did make it here safely. He's been sleeping now, you know, because his nerves have finally calmed down after all the torture that he has gone through at living at AJ and Primo's houses over these last
For a long
couple
time.
months that it was.
For like a year.
You know,
For a
he's
year,
yeah, it is a year. So but he made it safely and been taking really good care of him, and he's happy to finally be at his forever home. So, and I'm happy to be able to have rescued him. So
I'll tell you what,
we're in love with each other, and we might have a baby soon. So.
Primo Express is your next number one contender. So
I swear to God, if he comes back to either of our houses with Stockholm syndrome, I'm going to be really pissed off. I want to be back at Eric's house.
Send me back to Tony's house.
All right, boys, time to talk about what we're going to talk about. As usual, we're going to cover the week in wrestling, including Primo is going to kick us off with his coverage of the NWA each and every week, and we're going to kick that off here tonight. And as we've been talking about, this week's Dropkick Discussion is the RnR Express versus the Midnight Express from Wrestle War 1990. This one was a solid classic in tag team wrestling and how you get over and how you the heels are supposed to do work, man. I'm excited to talk about this one. It's going to be fun. And also, you ever been talking about, a promo school from a guy that we haven't seen in a while? Well, it's from Bray Wyatt, man. One of my favorite promos. It's when the Wyatt family showed up on, I believe it was Monday Night Raw, the famous promo, of him sitting in a rocking chair, a shorter version, not the whole thing, because Luke Harper talked some in it, and, they're walking through the house and stuff. But, a classic promo here. So, one of the best promos, man, to me, man. I love it because I'm a real big Bray Wyatt fan. So let's get to it, man. We got that weekly recap coming up. So, Primo, kick it off, baby.
This is Levi Cooper.
Hey, this is Buck Nasty, Bucky Collins.
This is Big B.
What's up, bozos? This is Trevor Outlaw, and you're listening
And you're listening to the Sit Down Marks.
Sit Down Marks.
Sit Down Marks.
And you're listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast with DB, Primo, and AJ.
All right, time to get to this recap. But first, I want to talk about a week from Saturday, April 23rd, I believe it is. The 5-year anniversary show, Zawa Live. It's going on in Dixon, Illinois, sponsored by your boys here, the Sit Down Marks. We're going to be there as usual, giving out free merch. And Primo's going to have a big announcement because, later on in the pod, towards the end here, because, there's a historic cage match going on in this the main event here at this Zawa Live card. And and one of the guys we're going to announce, we're going to have one of those guys here next week, and we're going to talk to him for that big cage match. And me and Primo just learned earlier today that your boys here are going to have some fun. We might be a part of the show here, so stay tuned of what might be coming up here. So we're excited to be there. We've had a beautiful relationship with Zawa. We love everybody there. They treat us like kings when we're there, and we're looking forward to the big 5-year anniversary show coming up on April 23rd. So I'm excited for this one, man. So it's going to be fun, man. AJ, you ready, man? Let's talk about some AEW, brother.
Hell yeah, let's talk about some AEW. There's some fucking awesome things that happened this year. God damn it. I don't know why I'm angry. We're going to kick off AEW Dynamite with one Christian Cage against one Adam Cole.
Baby!
Yep. Thanks. Typical match. Nothing match. Cole got the win by cheating. Cage still looks fantastic for being almost 50 years old. It basically just set up Cole's match with Page for the title in a Texas death match. Wazoo. Up next, we have, Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament match. We have one Samoa Joe versus Max Caster.
Yo! Listen! Yo! I'ma lay this dude down like a sex position. I'm main event Max, he's X Division. So I'm sending you home. You not a tough guy, Joe. You just injury prone. And I'm bad for your health. Got that towel because you can't stop playing with yourself. Tony, why we give this guy a chance? When we beat them in the ratings, he was their champ.
That rap was one. Sick. Max Caster, you are clearly not main event. You are lower mid card. You fucking jobber. Shut the fuck up. Two,
I
that
love
NXT
you, Max. Keep doing it.
That NXT live was very good. Like that actually got me.
It was, man. Yeah.
Even Samoa Joe was like,
yeah, I know.
Samoa Joe was just like, well, fuck me.
Yeah, he kept going, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
He said, like that whole I'm main event. Like, shut the fuck up. You are not. Anyways, Samoa Joe beat him. That was fun. What do I want to talk about next? Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz started a brawl with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Kingston had a great line where he's like, "We're gonna beat your ass like Junkyard Dog and Butch Reed." That was pretty cool because Junkyard Dog, he's the patron saint of sit down marks. So I got a big kick out of that.
He's royalty around here.
That's right.
Yes, goddamn right he is. Then we had we'll say troublesome tables match featuring the Butcher and the Blade and the Hardys. Nothing was going right in this match. You know, at one point the table didn't break for Jeff Hardy when he was supposed to like leave the match, and the table was just like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." Didn't break. Like the match was, apart from that, was.
I like how
fine.
they made the rule that like did they make the rule on the fly, or did they make the rule beforehand that it has to be an offensive maneuver that sets them through the table
on the fly? They always do that when someone gets thrown over the rope when they're not supposed to, or when a table doesn't break, or when it does break. This is a bad match. Like the Hardys, I love them, but I mean nothing was going their way tonight.
Right?
So
yeah.
Not. It was one of the worst matches I've seen.
What I thought was weird was, so Jeff gets eliminated first, and then it was Blade.
Yes.
And then
an actual table spot.
Right. So both of and then Jeff is actually the one who comes back and eliminates Butcher.
When he's not even supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it was bad. It was a bad match. But, it's the Hardys, so.
Yeah, still love them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Up next, we have the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. Sheeta versus Julia Hart. Sheeta, of course, gets the win. But what's interesting about this is just joined House of Black already. Julia Hart. It's going to be cool. Like, she's wearing the eye patch. And
you see the black?
You can see the black underneath it. And I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
They need a woman in their stable. That'll be cool. And Julia Hart's young and she's talented. And so I think that'll do wonders for her career. And then, holy shit, FTR versus the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
This is great.
And this was FTR as pure fiery baby faces. And they just murdered it.
It feels weird, but it's like I love it, but it feels weird at the same time, right? Like
it seems like it's counterintuitive because they're like the best heel tag team in the past like 15 years.
Right.
But it was unbelievable. The crowd loved them. Oh my God, the crowd was hot for these guys.
Yeah. A lot of times too, it's their reactions because they usually come out healing it up, right? Like, back looking like they're going to backhand, fans and, acting like they're going to handshake and pull their hand back, just healing out. Now they're coming out kind of, strutting a little bit of a smile,
Those Legends jackets?
Yes.
Yeah, that was so awesome.
Yes. And what was the other thing, too, is the bald one. His name
Dax.
Yes.
Dax Harwood.
He, he's pointing at people in the crowd and stuff instead of like snarling and, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, but I'm like, I love it, but I don't know if, yes, I love it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I was sold right from the very beginning.
Man, they're going to be so over his faces.
Oh my God. And I talked about this last week too, how I was nervous about it, but still looking forward to it. But
sure. And
that was, I thought, going to be their best match of the year. And then this is just unbelievable. And there was one point in the match where FTR hits the VTE trigger on, I think, Matt, and then kissed his cheeks like they do on some call. That's fucking awesome.
Great stuff, man. I love when they do throwbacks to old matches and stuff like that.
I do too. They did that a few times.
Yeah, they're great.
This match was just fantastic. FTR got the win. I can't wait for the third iteration of the Young Bucks versus FTR because they're going to do it again, and it was amazing. It was fantastic. I recommend going and watching it if you haven't done so right now. Again, not right now, but later on. And that was Dynamite. There's some.
By the way, quick little note. I finally got to watch FTR and the Briscoes.
Oh,
money,
right?
Yes,
money.
Yep.
Good
Hell
God,
yeah, dude.
I'm getting goosebumps again because I've got to talk to you guys about it.
Is
Man.
it as
Holy
good as
cow.
we made it out to be?
Yes, even more, man. Like I watched it back to back in a row because, like, the amazement of just the spots, the endurance, just. You know what I mean? The cleverness of all the, you know what I mean? Like, they had the crowd going bananas.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, like that was Wrestling 101, man. Like I wanted to cry. It was that good. Like,
it was awesome.
Oh, my God, dude.
This match was not quite as good as that because I don't think anything will be for a long time.
Sure.
But yeah, FTR versus the Briscoe Brothers is, like, I match of the year. Like it was so good.
Yeah, and nothing
we gotta
too like
see them again this year.
Yes.
And nothing too is like watching that is wrestling without, you know, no reins being pulled back on them. Like
they were just
do
like,
your
go.
thing, do whatever you want. No, you know what I mean? It was like yeah, and like I would have been totally fine with anybody winning that match.
I would have too.
It's pretty excited.
Cool.
FTR got it, yeah. So it's,
Max Caster, pay attention. These are main eventers.
super
Not
dope
you
match,
fucking
though, by
chopper.
the way. Golly, man.
Listen.
Yo. So awful. Anyways, moving on to Rampage. Again, so short. We start with Trent Beretta versus Bryan Danielson. Trent Beretta he got in more offense than I thought he would. Danielson obviously got the win because that's what he's going to do. This match was a little too long, I thought, but it was fine. You know, Bryan Danielson's fucking awesome. And I have a confession to make. I skipped QT Marshall versus Swerve Strickland. Didn't care. I was like, who won? Like, I don't even know who won.
Fairly quick.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick match anyway. I don't remember because I figured the only thing I had notes about was Yuta and Mox.
Well, the only thing I had notes about this match was afterwards when Hobbs and Ricky Starks came out because... Or no, they didn't come out, but I wanted... Wait, did they come out? Was it this week or last week? All my shit's getting fucking brought together. And then we have another Danhausen.
Yes.
Curse.
Yeah. Only thing I don't like about this gimmick, shouldn't he have, like, you know, put a couple people under trance before they just go right to hook and then it don't work? You know what I mean? Like, did we see it before? Did I miss something here?
Yeah, well, he did it a couple times. He did Adam Cole, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the third time he's tried to curse someone, and
it's
just
just not working on Hook.
Okay, yeah.
Let's do the potato chips at him.
Yeah, dropped out of the garbage can. Trying to curse him.
Okay. All right. I remember the Adam Cole one now that you say that.
Yeah.
That
He was like, maybe this is the source of his power.
Oh, it was great. I think that shit is just money. It's so good. Michael, you're wrong if you're listening.
I like that when they're trying to when he's trying to interview Hook, and Hook just like fucking ignored him the whole time.
Oh yeah, just the whole time.
Yeah.
No selling. It was great. It was just great. Up next, we have another Owen Hart Invitational Women's Qualifier. And this time it was Red Velvet versus Willow Nightingale. Who is Willow Nightingale?
She was the one who wrestled for the interim ROH Women's Championship.
Oh. Yes, okay, that is. I could not place her at all for some reason. It's like she had like a blind spot in my brain where she just... Like she fell into the blind spot. In my
Willow
brain.
was Jeff Hardy's alter ego at one point too, right?
Willow.
Oh, yes, that Willow. Yes,
that Willow. Okay, I was just thinking the name Willow. That's what it comes to.
He also fought Mad Mortigan.
The Blueprint?
No,
the Blueprint. Matt Morgan?
No, that was Mad Mortigan.
Mad Mortigan.
From the movie.
I just remember Willow like stalking Rockstar Spud trying to find him.
I just remember Willow and Val Kilmer teaming up to rescue a baby. It's from the movie.
Yeah, I figured that out.
Yeah,
that movie's Sucks. Anyways,
It sounds terrible.
it was awful. Red Velvet got the win. It's the moral of that story.
That is a bad movie. Red Velvet got the win.
Yeah, who knows what was happening. And then the main event in another match that was just holy fuck amazing. Jon Moxley versus Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta is now, he's a star. Like in the last 2 to 3 weeks, what the Blackpool Combat Club has done for him is nothing short of brilliant. Because he's just money now. He's awesome. He's the recent Ring of Honor Pure champion. Like he won that back at.
Yeah. He's like a Daniel Bryan, a Jonathan Gresham, who are some other technical guys like that. You just kind of fall in line with that. Like Mox is not in that category, but like,
no, Mox is a bruiser, but
yeah, he's a brawler. But he's just one of those like technical guys, like Makabe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Makabe, those kind of guys. You know, yeah, I love it.
Storm.
Lee Moriarty,
and he's great. Like Wheeler Yuta came out of nowhere in the past month, and
Utes.
Wheeler Yuta. He did lose. He kicked out of the Paradigm Shift, I think twice, but then he passed out in a rear naked choke. So Moxley got the win. But then the best part in my head, just because again I'm a fucking tool, was Regal extending like the respect. You know, shook his hand, and then Danielson did the same thing, and is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I loved it so much. I watched this match twice.
Yeah, it was good stuff, man. Nice, always nice to see like guys like Wheeler that I've seen on the indies and stuff. You know, like getting big spots in companies. Man, it's pretty cool. And it's gonna be a big storyline, I think.
What's crazy for me is the first time I was ever exposed to Wheeler Yuta was IWTV 100. Whenever he faced Daniel Garcia for the IWTV Championship.
Really?
Yeah.
Remember we watched that in your basement? Yeah,
we did.
Yeah. That's the first time I really knew about him.
It's a long match too. I remember.
Yeah, it was that 60 minute. They like
60 minutes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then
there you go.
Here he is, main eventing.
Yep. Soon to see his stock rise considerably.
Yep.
Because he's awesome.
Wrestling is beautiful like that, man. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And that was Rampage. And
Good
AEW
stuff.
as a whole.
All right, Primo, we got some. We talked. You want to talk a little bit about Impact first?
Yeah. I'll run through it real quick.
Yeah.
So Impact was just they went ahead and did a replay of the multiverse of matches, which Trey Miguel retained the X Division Championship in the Ultimate X match. Mickey James and the National Treasure Nick Aldis defeated Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green via double submission.
I'm sorry. What did you say, Mickey James?
Yeah, I heard it. I heard a Mickey James.
Oh, you know what? When I'm the one controlling,
Hardcore Country.
Let me do that again. Hold on. Nick Aldis, the National Treasure Nick Aldis, and Mickey James.
Hardcore Country.
Defeated Matt Cardona and Chelsea
try.
Green via double submission. Tomohiro Ishii defeated Eddie Edwards. Josh Alexander with Noah defeated Moose and PCO. That was a odd pairing for both of those guys. Chris Sabin defeated Switchblade Jay White.
Yes, sir.
The Good Brothers, speaking of the Briscoes, Good Brothers defeated the Briscoes. And finally, Speedball Mike Bailey defeated Alex Shelley. That was your replay for the multiverse of matches.
I love Alex Shelley. Have I mentioned that? Yes, I have. He's awesome.
I think you have once or 1,000.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Impact will be back in a couple days back with their tapings. So, moving on to our first coverage here of NWA Powerr.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this.
So we start off with a replay of Tim Storm interfering in Matt Cardona versus Nick Aldis at the Crockett Cup. Then we go straight into a promo with Cardona challenging Tim Storm to a match, telling him that if he can beat Matt Cardona, then he is allowed to challenge for the 10 pounds of gold. Because I don't know if you guys know this, Matt Cardona is the holder of the 10 pounds of gold. He's the NWA champ.
Yep.
Matt Cardona ends up defeating Tim Storm, though, and then attacks him post-match. But the save is made by the National Treasure, Nick Aldis, who stomps Cardona out and then hits him with the 10 pounds of gold.
10 pounds of gold.
Sweet Charlotte.
But despite that, the Pope, baby, gives a promo backstage where he had got an opportunity for the championship series title shot that he could cash in at any time. Well, he's cashing in that title shot finally, and after a few months of waiting, he will challenge Matt Cardona for the NWA title at some point of Billy Corgan's choosing, who, by the way, is like an old.
He is old. He's like almost 60.
I mean, yeah.
He's always looked old, though.
Right.
He looked old in the 90s.
Rhett Titus defeated Darius Lockhart. Speaking of them boys.
You don't say.
Them boys, the Briscoes, are in the NWA. And
Yes, sir.
They're calling for the NWA tag team straps and telling La Rebellion to watch their back. Excuse me.
Are you dying? What's happening? Don't die, Primo. We need you around.
What's up about the Cardonas?
All right, so yeah, the Briscoes want to tell La Rebellion to watch the back because they are coming for the NWA straps. Trevor Murdoch, who was your most recent NWA champ, who lost to Cardona, he makes extremely quick work of Garrison Creed. Trevor is in this funk now.
Yeah.
He goes backstage. He gives this promo where he makes it clear he's just focusing on himself, no one else, and his path back to the NWA title. Then we have Aaron Stevens come out. Anybody know who Aaron Stevens is?
Yeah, it's Mizdow.
Damien Sandow.
Damien Sandow.
So Aaron Stevens comes out and interrupts him, and then basically he tries to talk him out. He's like, "Come on, man, you get out of your funk." When that doesn't work, he starts pulling his gimmick on him, and that just pisses off Trevor Murdoch. So then he socks him in the mouth. In the final segment of NWA Powerr, we have had the Tyrus Slam Challenge. Tyrus is your TV champ. So we have Zion.
Formerly, somebody better call my mama.
That's right.
Mama.
We have Zion coming out to attempt to slam Tyrus. It's the Tyrus Slam Challenge. Austin Idol, who is by far the most annoying person on NWA, says that Zion gets 3 chances. So 3 chances to slam Big Tyrus for 1 shot at the belt. Tyrus attacks Zion, so he goes for one time. He tries to lift him, and no way. Goes for the second time. Tyrus pushes him off. And then Tyrus actually attacks Zion before he gets to make the 3rd attempt, as the show ends with Velvet Sky accusing Tyrus of cheating.
They can clearly lift Tyrus. He's not that big. He's not. They can clearly body slam him.
He just must be hard to lift. You know,
he's not Yokozuna.
He's got that low center of gravity. You know, he's
got
like
them concrete boots on.
Yeah, that's right. That was one of the like Velvet Sky or the Austin Idol was kind of like firing back at him because he was on commentary too, and they were just like, we think Tyrus is shifting his weight, so he can't be body slammed.
Yeah, sure.
But
so
anyway,
tell the people if they want to see NWA, it comes on YouTube, correct?
That's right. YouTube on Thursdays. Same as Impact. Impact you'll see on Access TV, but NWA on Thursdays, that's NWA Powerr, and the other NWA show, I think it's NWA Superstars or something like that, is on Saturdays, but we're not covering that.
Yeah, it's more of a tape show, and
it's a Saturday morning, like
yeah.
Good and stuff, that is man. Impact NWA. It's fun stuff.
Yeah. Really fun. Man, I'm enjoying getting back into watching NWA. I'm glad it's back, and I'm glad that Billy, is paying homage to the history of it, and doing the Crockett Cup and that kind of stuff. So, it's really cool, man.
Can I address something really, really fast for those watching right now?
The lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins doesn't allow music.
The world is a vampire.
Yeah.
I love our Randy Poffo Cincinnati Reds card that we've got going up on our screen right now. I just want to throw that out there.
On screen today, as requested by AJ, is we often refer to the Poffo family. Cincinnati Reds. If anybody doesn't know, Randy Poffo, also known as Randy Macho Man Savage, was once drafted by the Cincinnati Reds. He was a catcher, I believe, and an outfield player. And so in homage to us referencing him, AJ asked, I found this a copy of his baseball card from back in Cincinnati Red days. So we got it up on screen today. So come check that out too. And also while you're here, look at Primo's mullet as well. So, all right. So here we go.
Randy first, mullet second.
So it is my turn to take over WWE, boys. So let's kick it off with the Friday after SmackDown after Mania. All right.
Smacking it down, baby.
Smacking it down from right after WrestleMania. This one comes from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, got some decent notes here because some stuff starting to get brewed up here. So it's a pretty decent show. Here we go. So Ronda comes out, basically says she wants a rematch at Backlash. That is Ronda Rousey, pronouns, pal. Ronda Rousey comes out and wants a rematch at Backlash, but she wants an I Quit match, boys.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. Yeah, and Flair obviously says no to the match, and but in kind of an odd thing, Ronda's like, "Well, I'm gonna get it," and then Ronda's music hits, and that's the end of the segment. So basically, she's probably gonna, they're gonna wrestle again, obviously. So there's gonna be this chase, by her, to get Charlotte, for the rematch, obviously. So next we get Xavier. Rolls up Butch. Butch, used to be Pete Dunne. Now he's Butch. For his first loss. And Butch basically goes crazy after the match.
Is that his first official match?
I don't know. I think he was in a 6-man tag, but singles, I think you're right.
Yeah, it was his first single. Why is he losing to Xavier Woods?
Yeah, so I don't know. Unless he's, they're doing this thing where he got all pissed off.
He's no longer the bruiserweight. So
no. Butch.
All right, boys. So next up, we got our first call up here. Ludwig Kaiser, also known as Marcel Barthel. Did I say that right?
Which I like that name way better, by the way.
I do too. Ludwig Kaiser is the new name of him. So basically, he comes out and introduces Gunther that we've seen on NXT. Gunther,
the ring general.
Yeah,
he looks great.
Yeah, he's slimmed down. He's getting his call up to the SmackDown roster. No Fabian Eichner. Just throwing that out there. No Fabian Eichner. Of course, he did like the walk away or whatever on the last show. So anyway, Gunther comes out, squashes a local wrestler, and I think actually a guy from Chicago. But
local jobber number 5.
So awesome little. Decent little call up there, and then our next call up.
I like how they changed their color though. That the Imperium was like blue or like midnight blue in NXT. Blue. Now they're red.
Red, yeah.
Now Gunther's got a big red jacket, like what's his name, Bison from Street Fighter.
Bison.
Yeah. That's what it reminds me.
He needs the hat too, like
he
the
does.
hat.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So the next call up, boys, is Raquel Rodriguez, who we know as Raquel Gonzalez.
Yeah, why would you change that?
I know
one Hispanic last name to another Hispanic last name.
Yeah, like what's the point?
So
just to differentiate.
Speaking of Hispanic, she's welcomed to the SmackDown roster by Los Lotharios, and she declines a kiss from both of them, which we haven't seen that happen. So
I like how she kind of like looked like she was like. No.
Maybe not. Yeah.
I'm a babyface. Go fuck yourself.
Yep. So that's the next call up. And then we see Happy and Madcap. These guys are in the middle of their breakup. Corbin don't think that Madcap's funny anymore. So, they're all, pissed at each other. So they're not sharing ice cream no more. So it's not cool. And so, so basically, we see that kind of keep going on. And then next, boys, we get reintroduced to they're making known right off the bat, a very babyface Lacey Evans, right? I mean, she tells her story of the very depressing story about her family, of living on the streets with her mom, going to the Marines and then making her the woman she is today. So, so we get reintroduced to her. And
which, by the way, should have been it was cool, but that should have been a big return.
I agree.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, or maybe they want to do some vignettes, I guess, maybe, but yeah, hard to say. So, yeah, back to the matches. Liv beat Sasha, so Liv and Rhea are going to get a rematch for the tag team titles on Monday. And then next up, we get the Bloodline. Put the ones in the air, boys. Roman comes out to say,
Acknowledge me.
There we go. Roman comes out, and it sounds like he's ready to populate the stable more. He comes out to say that he has done it all. What else can he do? And he said he can't do anything else, but the Bloodline sure can. And what the Bloodline can do is he wants more gold. He wants more titles. So he turns around, starts talking to the Usos and tells them that he wants them to go to Raw, bring him the tag team titles, and they're going to unify the titles. About that time, kind of oddly, Shinsuke Nakamura's music hits. He comes out. Roman says he empathizes with him, gives him a little bit of a hug, and he empathizes with him about him losing a partner. Roman said he knows what it's like to lose a friend, lose a partner. He's referring to Rick Boogs at WrestleMania, all that kind of stuff. So he goes to give him a hug, and just as he pushes back, he gets 2 super kicks from the Usos. He is laid out, and the Usos talk to the camera and say that they are on their way to Raw. Roman holds up the belt as the show goes off. So, they want more titles. Let's talk about this up front because I mentioned this briefly to you. Are they about to bring the Bloodline even bigger? Are we going to add a female here? Are we going to add maybe a Sikoa, somebody to get that IC title, somebody to get that women's title? What do you guys think? Are we seeing are they going to eventually have all the belts is what I'm saying?
I'm terrified that they're going to turn this into the NWA, where it's going to be, 55 members. You're going to hear Roman's music every 8 seconds.
As long as they're all Samoan.
Yeah. There are a lot of Samoans.
Or married to the family.
Or Samoan adjacent.
Yeah.
I do like that, although I didn't know that Roman Reigns could book his own matches. Like, I didn't realize he could be like, go to Raw, give me the belts.
Yeah, exactly. Go to Raw. Get me the belts. When you get the belts for yourself, you get them for the Bloodline.
Yeah, right. then come back. It's like, I didn't realize
he told you he owns everything. That camera's his. That
ring's mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Why Shinsuke? Why my boy Shinsuke? I didn't understand that. I was like, is he out there just to take 2 super kicks? Like, is he going to be the next challenger to Roman Reigns? Because I'm pretty sure it's Drew McIntyre. I didn't get it, and it made me sad. Although I was thrilled when I heard his music.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were doing with this here, so it was kind of odd. So but that's what I'm thinking, man. They're about to shore it up. Maybe bring Sikoa up. Maybe bring some sort of female in there, and
yeah.
Naomi.
I just hope they actually do it.
I did too.
Yeah.
I hope they actually get the gold. Like they actually just run shit.
I hope so too. I think 2 tag team titles I think that's dumb anyways. The tag team division is too small to properly represent 2 belts. Yeah. So like unify them. Fucking sweet.
You think maybe they're leading to like a storyline where they're going to start dividing the roster, and Roman's like, either you're with us or you get your ass beat. And then that's just the way they deal with everybody every week. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're with them, then you're on top. You live big. You eat at the table that Roman's the head of. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. It kind of intrigues me, though.
I thought it was funny, though, as we had that speech, that promo at the top of the pod. And it was funny because he was like, I have my 2 belts. And I look at my cousins, and there's 2 of them, and they have their 2 belts. And I have 2 belts. But I only see 2 belts on them. Like, he seemed like he was so confused with his math.
Right. Yeah.
I think eventually they're going to have like a counter faction. And I want it to be AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura. I want it to be another Bullet Club.
Ex-Japan.
Yes. Yeah. Ex-Japan Bullet Club. That's not going to happen, though, because that's just me being a nerd. But...
All right, let's move on to Raw, boys. Detroit, Michigan is where we are for this one. The show opens up with Cody. He's a guest on Miz TV. Now Cody is he's coming out, man. He's fired up, right? And he's they're going to wrestle each other later. They already put the graphic up, so we know that. So right off the bat, Miz going full heel on Cody, telling him that he would just be a plumber if he wasn't a Rhodes.
Yeah,
and
good
so
line.
Miz even corrected Cody when at one point when he referenced to the WWE Championship as a belt. Miz says it's a title. A belt holds your pants up.
Yeah, that was a Vince McMahon line right there.
He said a plumber would still be good because you're full of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and what else did he say, Primo? Something about he referred to wrestlers as wrestlers instead of superstars. So
and also, too, how about that pyro?
Yes. Miz was right when they said that he ate up all the budget in the pyro.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty intense pyro.
Yeah. You can tell right now. I just hope it stays. You can tell right now they're all in on him, man. So I like it. And Cody's having fun, man. And I like it when Cody's having fun. You can really tell, man. But
I hope the crowd doesn't sour on him, because that'll make me sad. Because he's an awesome baby face, and he's back. He's getting these huge crowd pops, and I just hope they don't discover that they think it's cool to boo him. And that'll annoy me about the crowds.
That's what annoyed me about AEW. I didn't feel like they were booing him because he sucks, because he doesn't suck. They were booing him because it was like a fad.
Yeah, it was.
That's what annoyed the shit out of me, because Cody was awesome.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think the AEW crowd too. We talked about this. Says I think they wanted Cody to go be a backstage guy, and he wasn't clearly ready to be a backstage guy, nor should he be at this moment. You know what I mean? Just a backstage guy. So this is what I'm gonna say about this, and I'll move on. But I want to say we're gonna find out when they put Cody in front of Roman. I hope it's like Philly, Chicago. It's like somewhere, some big wrestling town where we really find out like how much they both are over, and they don't put them face to face in like, in some small town like Corbin, Kentucky or something. No offense to Corbin, Kentucky, but
or Yarmouth, Maine.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So
it couldn't be like an asshole wrestling town though. It'd be like Chicago would be bad because Chicago, they're assholes. Same thing with Philadelphia. I mean, I love you, Chicago and Philadelphia crowds. Don't get me wrong. Chicago, you're still the greatest wrestling city.
That kind of what makes them the best. So so I think we'll see once they go face to face. So, all right. So next up, we've seen Veer. He's been sent for 2 weeks in a row. He's back. He beats up Dominic, and he ends up leaving Dominic going out on a stretcher into an ambulance after choking him. So he's doing kind of like this. He left him laying and he went back and choked him more. So it looks like Dominic might be on the shelf here for a little while or something. So anyway, enough of. Go ahead.
I actually have a couple things to say about that.
Okay, go ahead.
Two things. I think I read today. I didn't. There's a consensus that maybe Dominic's been being written off for a while.
Okay.
Also, personally, I kind of like that iteration of the camel clutch that he does.
The little variation of it.
Yeah. Like a side choke. Like, yeah.
Jerk off motion is my reaction. I can't even be bothered to do it right now. Jerk off motion. I don't give a fuck about Veer. I don't give a fuck about Dominic Mysterio, which I haven't given a fuck about in a long time.
It's funny when they put their eggs in a basket, because you remember when Veer was coming out with, who was it, Shanky and Jinder?
Yeah.
He just looked like a small little crony next to them. Now they're like making him look all big on the screen, and he's like, chest all bowed out, and they're making him look like a giant. He's not really that big of a guy.
He's like a schlubby average guy.
Yeah. But
he used to be a ball player.
Yeah.
What kind of ball?
Baseball.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Is he a catcher?
I don't know. But so I don't know. So we'll see. All right, so moving on. We got AJ versus Damian Priest. They have a match that was, decent, and then at the end, this like the purple light came on, and it kind of didn't come on. It was like kind of like fading in and out a little bit, so it didn't get the full effect, but you kind of get the idea. It's like a trance or something is like coming over him, like in a weird kind of sense, but it was weird because he kicks AJ off the apron, he kneels down in the middle of the ring, and then the lights go out, and then like these purple lights come on, right? You know what I mean? Like, and it shows like his purple contacts, and then later AJ says that he'll still come after Edge. So I guess this is kind of a way that they're inducting these people into the broody. What do we call them, AJ? The broody,
the broody ministry,
broody ministry, whatever they are. Yeah, Edge's faction. So yeah.
At this point in Raw, I got angry. So I was like, no more voodoo powers. Why does WWE insist on dressing their new characters as sex gimps? Because Damian Priest was now wearing another, like he raided Karrion Kross's old closet. I was like, yeah, what do you got in a sex gimp that fits me?
Right.
And so he threw that on, and I was like, are you drawing powers?
I didn't mind his outfit. I did notice like the changes to his outfit. Like when he was a face, he had the Puerto Rican American flag on his pants. Now he's like all black, Yeah. And also, this isn't gonna happen. But I saw this cool theory today. Not Austin theory, but this cool theory on the interwebs, that maybe Damian and Edge are answering to a higher power, which is the Fiend, but that's not going to happen.
No, there's no way.
How dope would that be, though?
It would be.
I think it'd be cool. It'd also be weird seeing Edge in a faction instead of leading a faction.
Leading a faction, yeah. A little, he's not young Edge anymore, so he can't be like a side crony.
He can't follow Gangrel around. And
yeah.
Although he should. If Gangrel came back and that was the higher power, fuck yeah.
All right, so moving on. Here's the Cody versus Miz match. Seth Rollins is going to come out to observe ringside. Cody wins by the crossroads, and then Seth jumps in and asks him for a rematch. Cody says, yes, absolutely. So they're going to get it on again. Probably, I'm assuming, at Backlash, probably. Mm-hmm. So,
cool.
They might go for a little while, or is this just to give Cody another rub here? Or is the Miz going to, just DQ it or something?
It's not going to happen, but how cool would it be if we just got like a, it's been a while since we got a good best of 7. So if we got like a Cody Seth best of 7 matches, that'd be neat.
With Sheamus and Cesaro.
Sheamus and Cesaro. Yep. Exactly. Oh,
yes,
nice.
We haven't done
it in a while. It's been a while. We got to do the Cesaro.
Audio.
All right, guys. Next up, we are introduced for the first time to Tommaso Ciampa, which I think he's just Ciampa. I don't know. I feel like a couple people just called him Ciampa. But anyway, he's on there. He got introduced in a backstage segment with Kevin Owens and Ezekiel.
That
Kevin
shit is funny.
Says that he's Elias. He's like, I'm Elias' older brother. And Ciampa's like, hey, KO, this is Ezekiel. He says, Ezekiel?
He's like, stop being a dick about this.
Yeah.
If this was anyone but Kevin Owens, I would hate it. But it's Kevin Owens, so
I thought last week it was funny, and this week it got even funnier because it's like everybody's in on it except Kevin.
Next up, Sonya Deville is the next challenger for Bianca.
Sure.
Next up, final. You go ahead. You got something on that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because it's like the past 2 weeks, it's like Vince or whoever's back there in Gorilla or who's ever writing this shit knows that us 3 marks are waiting for Asuka and Bayley to come back.
Yeah. Yep.
And so they're doing this shit.
Like, who can we throw in there as a filler?
Right.
Until they get back.
Just so they can be like, we're going to get it. And then they're like, oh, Sonya Deville.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, Sonya Deville.
Yep. Yeah.
I was okay with it. I like Sonya Deville.
A little bit of letdown, but, hopefully it's just, somebody for Bianca to, beat up.
It's not that I don't like her. I just want to see Bayley back.
Yeah.
And Asuka. I want to see Asuka back. Actually, no, I want to see her in AEW. Like, just
SummerSlam.
unannounced appears.
SummerSlam.
That's
All right,
too
so
long.
let's get to the main event, boys. As we talked about, SmackDown, Usos are said they're coming to Raw. So, by the way, before I get to this main event, man, I thought this Raw was pretty decent, man. I watched it top to bottom. None of it really made me fast forward because I watch it, not live. So nothing made me. So I'll give that credit, and I like this storyline here at the end. RK Bro beats Alpha Academy by RKO. After the match, the Usos show up as advertised and say they want a tag team unification match. And then the Street Profits show up and say they want to be involved. And then so they challenge the Usos. In a match. They have the match. The Usos win. Post-match, Usos and RK Bro stare each other down. And then Randy RKO's Montez, and then the Usos jump back in the ring, super kick Randy, and the Usos hold up the Raw and the SmackDown tag titles as the show goes off.
I like how Jimmy was holding the blue ones and Jay was holding the red ones.
See, I think each one should have had one of each. I thought that would have been cooler.
Yeah. Good stuff here. I like these storylines. Two hot tag teams, just beside the bloodline. I mean, yeah, it's great.
I agree with Raw though. It opened hot and it closed hot. Had that good Cody Miz match. Yeah, had some funny segments there. Yeah, you guess you don't care about Lashley and Omos.
No, I didn't care about that.
They did not make my notes.
I'm kidding. I didn't either. They wouldn't have made my notes had I been writing them either.
That was one of the things I didn't like. It was like that Veer and the voodoo magic light from Damian Priest.
Yeah, MVP turned on Lashley, so he's with Almost now, and then so they're probably gonna have a little feud there for a little while, I'm assuming. But from WrestleMania. So let's get to NXT, man. A decent amount happened here. My notes would probably be longer than they normally would. So right off the bat, we're in Orlando, Florida, as usual. North American title match. Cameron Grimes.
Do you know I have never once done that with you guys?
That's right.
Never one time. I've never once done that with you guys.
You just had 2 chances.
I know, and I ignored both of them.
You gotta go to the moon 2 times. See what I'm saying?
No, I never will.
So,
I never will do it.
So he's versus. He puts up the title against Solo Sikoa. Decent match. Cameron makes the remark during the match, though, boys. I respect you, Sikoa, but your bloodline can kiss my grits. And then
there you go.
Butt motion. So.
Grits.
Yeah, just a little tidbit.
And wasn't Solo wearing like black and red?
He was wearing black and red. Yes, I was going to say.
Matched.
Yeah, I had that other note down here. Yeah, you're right. So, little tidbits, man. Wrestling.
Dropping us little grains that us supermarkets would figure out.
They do, man. Love
Wrestling.
That stuff. Cameron retains the belt after interference from Trick and Carmelo, who attack them both. Carmelo wants the belt back. Yada yada yada. So. Fast forward to the next thing, boys. I guess we'll slightly address it. So after the departure breakup of one half of MSK was released, they had to do something with these tag team titles, right? So we were all wondering what they would do, and they come on and say that they just basically said that the titles had been vacated over the weekend. Is all they said.
They kind of ignored it a little bit too.
Yep. So they kind of ignored it a little bit too. Yep. So one half of MSK was released, and then so now they say that there will be an NXT tag team gauntlet match for the titles. Now, honestly, an exception of a Royal Rumble, I love a good gauntlet match because it's
I agree.
Yep. Me too.
Yeah. So once they said that, I'm like, oh sweet man. I'm like, oh, here we go. Finally. We're going to put the titles on the Creed brothers, right? That's what we're thinking. Yeah? That's what we're thinking, right? I mean,
Foolish fools we are.
But I was very happy with the outcome because I'm inside a mark of this new tag team. I'll tell you later. Here we go. So let's talk more about Braun Breaker. All right. So he comes out and instantly my Goldberg vibes come rushing in as always. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is the top guy in NXT. He's greeted by a video of Joe Gacy saying that his father, Rick, took his beating like a man. and then he threw his gimmick Hall of Fame WWE ring in a fire, right?
Yeah, right. So
which later in the show he pulls back out and puts it on, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we know at some point Braun is going to publicly present his dad with the ring again.
Yeah, so they got a little storyline going there, which I kind of like that too. Which, this just, we've been hypothetically talking about this Edge, and I said that I've read a lot of places, and kind of more I see that, that Joe Gacy and Harlan might be a part of that faction. So it kind of makes sense if Braun's going to keep the belt for a while, he's going to need some people to beat.
I'm telling you though, like, besides the bloodline, because honestly, I don't think the bloodline can get too much bigger, because it's literally you have to meet certain criteria to be in the bloodline. I think, but as far as Edge's faction goes, it's been a while since we've had like a large scale faction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they can do one across a couple brands in a way.
Right.
Now,
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
to have a big faction again.
Yeah, and they can put them on different nights of the week, so they can really get their name out there. So, so this is good stuff. And then we come out, and Mandy retains the NXT Women's title versus Dakota Kai. Basically, at the end of this match, Wendy Chu comes out, which I think she's the worst thing about NXT, but that's just
Jammy girl.
Yeah, and she comes out with a fucking super soaker and squirts toxic attraction, and they're flopping around like it's fucking stone.
The beer bath,
like it's acid.
Beer bath.
No, they were like,
yeah, they're flying,
fucking
and then like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it only made them look hotter. I mean, so whatever. Anyway, so all right, so we get to Cora Jade cutting a promo about how she wants to be champ. All her dreams coming true because she's being a wrestler. She's doing everything she said she always, wanted to do. Blah, 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 yada, yada. Big babyface promo, since I was a little girl, all this stuff, right? So she starts naming off these legends that she's been, Lita, blah, blah, blah. She names Natty in there. Well, she names off a couple more, and then Natalia's music hits. Natalya gets in the ring. Cora is marking out to her being in the ring, and it was funny. So Natty tells her all the stuff to hype her up, tells her she's the future, and tells her she's the, she's glad that, she made a connection with Cora a long time ago. All this good stuff, right? Pump her up. And then, finally the last line was, she tells Cora, "You are the future, but the future is bleak." And then she turns on her clothesline. Next thing you know, she's in the sharpshooter, tapping out like crazy. Natty,
I gotta say, superb sharpshooter, Natty.
It was.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
It was. Yep. So Natty obviously coming down to try to give Cora a little bit of the rub here. So looks like they're going to have a little bit of a feud.
I like
going
what
on,
Natty said too. She's like, I've mentored a lot of women. I've trained a lot of women, and you know what I'm saying. It established her right then as obviously she's a veteran, and then the commentators are going nuts when she's locking in the sharpshooter. So
Yep. Pretty good stuff.
I've always felt like she didn't get her proper due.
Who, Natty?
Natty?
Yeah.
Oh, me too. Always. Yep. She did, man. I always felt the same too, man. But so all right. So we get to the main event here, boys. This is the gauntlet. Basically every tag team they had was in it. I think about 8 tag teams, but let's get to the end here. Creed Brothers, they come out first. They're running the gauntlet, man, all the way to the end. They get to the very last match, and Pretty Deadly comes out, the brand new NXT UK tag team that just came over. I'm a big fans of. I don't know. I think it's funny when they say, "Yeah, boy."
Yeah, boy. I like it too.
Yeah, funny stuff. And I'll say James.
You know what tag team wasn't in it?
Who wasn't in it?
Which we always wanted them to be tag champs. And now it looks like it's getting slimmer and slimmer, and that is the GYV.
The GYV, yeah. Haven't seen too much of them, but I haven't watched NXT UK. They might have been on there, but
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's get to the end of the match. They, like I said, they run the gauntlet. Pretty Deadly comes out and they perform their finisher. And Pretty Deadly is your new NXT Tag Team Champions. And new! Yeah, man. So,
what do you think of all the new belts?
The thing at the end is the Creed brothers. They're just laying there. They just look defeated. Like just laid out. Just didn't have.
So they're gonna get that Daniel Bryan finally getting it moment.
Yeah, like the underdog clawing their ways back.
Did they chase until SummerSlam pay-per-view?
Yeah, I think so.
But if you didn't notice, all the championships were revamped.
I only noticed this one. I didn't notice the.
They all have like these NXT little arrows on them and stuff. Some white.
So I'll say WWE in a whole between SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, I thought was pretty good, man. I was not too disappointed with either show at all. So I was pretty happy about that. So
I agree, they've been doing better.
Yeah, and usually, guys, let's be honest. Now this is way early. No way am I judging this at all. I'm not a fool, right? But usually this is the lull part, right? Like right after summer WrestleMania. And
exactly. This is usually the part where it's like they don't really give a fuck. They're trying out shit,
trying new things.
Yeah. So this looks okay right now. So it's looking somewhat promising. So I'll stick with it for now. So that'll do it for the recap, boys. It's time for the Dropkick discussion of the week.
Hey guys, this is Mr. Havens, the Argyle assassin himself, giving them all the shivers.
This is the one and only Mike Hartenbauer.
This is Space Jesus Billy Starks.
This is referee Dan Perch.
What's up, bozos? This is Trevor Outlaw. You can address me as yours rudely. And you're listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast.
You guys are listening to Sit Down Marks podcast.
You're listening to Sit Down Marks podcast.
Come celebrate pro wrestling right here on the Sit Down Marks podcast.
With DB, Primo, and AJ.
With DB, Primo, and AJ.
With Primo, DB, and AJ.
And you're listening to DB, Primo, AJ here on the Sit Down Marks podcast, the best podcast for professional wrestling.
All right, good stuff there. Thank you there, Mr. Havens. Look forward to seeing that guy on the 23rd. By the way, shout out St. Louis Anarchy Wrestling. Got the shirt on today, representing for the brand down there in St. Louis Anarchy. All right, let's get to...
I have that shirt.
Kick discussion of the week. Yes, you do, man. Yeah, thank you for buying it for me, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I did buy it.
One of our wrestling endeavors.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk, man. 1990. NWA presented by WCW, Wrestle War, 1990. A lot of stuff went on this card, but we're going to be talking about the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette, arguably the greatest tag team rivalry of all time. This particular match went down, obviously, February 25th in 1990 at the good old Greensboro Coliseum, a place that I have frequented very much. Tons of wrestling history there. This was the actual second Wrestle War ever. Roughly about 8,000 people. We got Jim Ross and Terry Funk on commentary, boys. How cool is this? Terry Funk.
Terry Funk was...
You can't see it here. He has that massive earring.
Yes.
That earring!
With a feather on it or something.
Yeah.
He was in desperate shape throughout the night. Like, there were times I was like, Terry, shut up. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I love how he gets fired up, though.
Oh, man.
It was cool. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, the man has passion. So this match was the third match on the card. FYI, the main event on this card was Ric Flair with Woman retaining the NWA, WCW World Heavyweight title, whatever you want to call it at the time, versus Lex Luger.
Do you want to hear my story now, or shall I wait?
Man, I don't want to wait any longer, man. Give me your story, AJ.
Let's hear the story.
So, my story about why I was so psyched when we started watching, because I didn't know this match was on this particular pay-per-view, whatever. So, when I was a kid, I was a wrestling fan, not like giant, but I was like, oh, Hulk Hogan, bro. But I was a Sting guy. Like, I did Sting. We've been over this. I love Sting. And my brother and I, we used to record, like, the Power Hour on, like, TBS, where they had, like, their, WCW had, like, their hour weekly show where they just
Yeah.
cobbled together a bunch of matches.
Yeah.
And then they would have like these, like, they weren't pay-per-views, but they were like pay-per-view juniors where they would be on like a Saturday night and they'd have like championship matches and stuff like that. So we used to record all these, and the moment that I became a lifelong wrestling fan happened during this exact show. And
Okay.
I've been looking for this moment for years and years and years because it's always been in my head. So I'm always like, this is my favorite. Like, this is what solidified me as a lifelong wrestling fan, and it was in the main event, the face turn when Luger saves Sting after he had Ric Flair dead to rights, beaten in the torture rack.
Yeah.
And rather than, go ahead with the match, Sting is getting attacked on the outside by Arn and Ollie Anderson. And rather than win the belt, he puts down Ric Flair and goes and helps Sting. It is like when I was a kid, I was a babyface guy.
Storytelling.
This is my favorite moment in the history of me watching wrestling. This is what made me a lifelong wrestling fan, is this right here. And
that is fantastic.
And I haven't seen it since I lost whatever VHS tape.
Yeah.
It was.
You didn't know which one it was.
Nope, I had no idea. No, I thought it was just on some random show.
Yeah.
So
because Sting was like hurt, I think, because he was supposed to have been in this main event.
Yes.
Because Luger was the U.S. title champ at the time, and they didn't do that very often back then.
No.
But it was a pay-per-view, so they needed a big headline guy, so they stuck Lex in there.
And Lex was a heel, but he was still kind of buddies with Sting because they were always like kind of buddies. But he was a super heel, and when he turned face, I'm like, yep, okay, I'm in for life. So I was so psyched when I saw this. I watched that. Well, I watched our match like 5 times because I'll get to that.
Good.
But I watched this main event probably, like, I don't have a lot of free time, but I probably watched this 10 times in the past week. I fucking loved it. Like, this is pure nostalgia loveliness for me. So thank you.
That makes me so happy, AJ. I'm so
glad
I could bring that moment to you, man. So now you know, it's good stuff, man. I love it. All right, so moving on, we got these 2 tag teams, obviously feuded for decades. They would still be feuding probably. Bobby Eaton, the kind of one pillar member of Midnight Express. The other rendition was Sweet Stan Lane, which was in this match, and then Dennis Condrey was the other one. But Bobby Eaton was always the one definite pillar in Midnight Express, and he just passed long ago, or not too long ago. So rest in peace, Bobby. But it almost kind of still feels fresh because he really hadn't been dead that long. But these 2 tag teams feuded for decades, like I said. And right here in 1990 was one of the hottest times in the feud. Jim Cornette had the most heat of any manager in wrestling probably at the time. Like I said, like when we talk about Cornette, I always say, we talking about Cornette, the manager, the wrestling, nothing he says on this podcast, none of his opinions, none of all of that horse shit that he's, involved in or, likes to, shit on people about, like none of that stuff. This is just Jim Cornette as the Midnight Express manager, like just one of the best managers ever in wrestling. We always wanted to see him get his ass kicked. He did the total mama's boy gimmick. You know what I mean? He always talked about his mama from Louisville, Kentucky. You know what I mean? She was just the greatest thing ever. Mama's baby boy, all that stuff. And we love to see, he was sneaky with the tennis racket. We love to see him get his ass beat, right? He was fantastic at his job. Fantastic at his job. Okay. So this rendition of the Midnight Express was Sweet Stan Lane and Beautiful Bobby. And, the Rock and Roll Express, to my knowledge, hasn't ever had any other variations as the Rock and Roll. I believe it's just Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. So coming into this, I figured out that the Rock and Roll was 4-time champs and the Midnight Express was 2-time NWA, WCW tag team champs up until this point. Funny part coming into the match, Sweet Stan Lane grabs the microphone and says that introduces Jim Cornette as the guy who stole Ivanka from Donald Trump. So I thought that was kind of very funnily aged joke, right? This was 1990.
I was like, oh no, whoops. That's
oh man,
thing.
Good stuff here, boys. And then when the Midnight Express entrance music came on and they walked into the ring, did it sound familiar?
It did. It
Right.
absolutely
I mean,
did. It was fantastic.
It's very close to what it's a very close rendition at what FTR comes out to these days. He is from that, and you also see here, boys, even the stripes on the tights from the Midnight on the boots are exactly, FTR pays homage to the Midnight Express because they wear those same tights. So it's cool to kind of see wrestling, modern day wrestling, and then you go back to 1990 and you see connections, right? You know what I mean? Like it's
for sure
fucking super dope, man. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Kind of stuff that makes you love wrestling. But all right, guys, what do you got here, man? Till the match starts.
Yeah, so I put, first of all, not just the match, but Wrestle War in general. Don't sleep on that Wrestle War rap at the beginning of the show.
Oh my God.
The intro lead in, yes.
I was dying when I heard this. Like it sounded like one of those educational raps. You know?
Like they were going to start rapping about how a bill becomes law on Capitol Hill.
Exactly. Then I put after that, as far as before the match started, I was very relieved that I couldn't actually hear Cornette on the microphone. And then JR talking shit on Cornette had me rolling. I was dying.
Yeah. He went on and on about it. I liked their promo. It was halfway, or it was right before their match where I hated Jim Cornette. As you're supposed to. And I loved the Rock and Roll Express. Loved the Rock and Roll Express. And I hated the Midnight Express because, again, I was, a child and I wanted the good guys all the time. Like, good guys all the time. So I remember, once I saw this match, I'm like, holy shit, this is the event. I remember watching this as a kid and being like, I want Jim Cornette to get hit with his own tennis racket so badly. My brother and I were watching it, and I remember, at one point when Jim Cornette finally, we'll get to that. Okay. Entrances are cool. The Ivana Trump joke. A little rough, but it's why even make that joke in 19? Who the fuck cares? Get out of here. But it got me hyped, with the
pop
entrances.
culture at the time.
Yeah.
I know. That's a sad state for pop culture.
Yep. Good stuff here. All right, so Sweet Stan. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm way off here. All right, so Robert Gibson and Sweet Stan are going to start off the match. They lock up, and right off the bat, AJ, here we are again, man. They're wrestling on a slab of concrete, right?
Oh my God!
And these ropes, do they hardly move?
They don't. I thought that the ropes were because again we're experts in this shit now. I thought the ropes were made out of electrical wire or they were just the rebar that you put under concrete.
Rebar.
They didn't move.
Coming
very
off
little,
of them,
very little give. Yeah,
you didn't get no spring. Yeah.
No.
So that's what I noticed. Right off the bat is the hard ring again and pretty tight ropes. So the Rock and Roll Express, they're working the crowd over early because they're getting their stuff in. Crowd's going crazy. So, they got the Midnight Express on their heels early. Cornette gets on the apron and does his first of many distractions and stuff like that. Well, this particular one where he jumps in the ring, he's pissed off about the referee not giving Midnight Express a fair shake. So next thing you know, before we know, Cornette's in the ring. He's squared up. We got a very young Nick Patrick here.
Oh, my God. He's 12.
Right. He pulls his... instead of throwing him out, get out of here, he squares up with him too. They're about to go, right? He pulls his shirt out, man, they'll get ready to square off. So anyway, order is restored. Just small little tidbits like this for the crowd was just phenomenally well placed. Once again, this is a pay-per-view in 1990, so it was great, man. Just a spectacle. The action spills outside. Cornette regroups everybody, and then we see some great bumping and selling here by both these teams early. The match starts to pick up after the Midnight Express slows down the match early when they kind of, Rock and Roll Express, right? You think young, fast, these guys doing double drop kicks, high spots, that kind of stuff. Not high spots like we see today, but, and then so Midnight comes in, they're more tactical, more of a grinded out kind of tag team. And so they kind of slow the match down early. And then when Cornette takes a bump over the ropes into the ring, Robert punches him. Sweet Stan is performing CPR on Cornette to revive him. So here, once again, another thing for the crowd, you know what I'm saying? Just another funny bump spot, you know what I mean? And we're not even getting really to the great wrestling yet that we're, that's coming up here. So, most of this match pandered to the crowd. I will say that, these little spots, but that's just kind of what made, them so good and being so familiar with each other because, they could wrestle, 100%. But I felt like they wanted to make sure you knew who the faces were and who the heels were, by these skits, the heelish tactics, the cheating, that kind of stuff. So more outside fighting, as Cornette helps out Midnight Express more. And then which really makes me remember how good of a seller Ricky Morton was. He was such a good seller. Midnight starts to take over, right? So they start work on Ricky Morton a lot outside the ring too, really playing up that Robert Gibson needs to get this hot tag, right? Like they're playing up this hot tag. Ricky's getting the shit beat out of him, right? Like everything but color, right? He's gotten everything but blood at this point. Ricky has these small little rallies that helps him get back into the match, but the Midnight Express, who keeps tagging in and out, wearing him down, and they keep getting Robert Gibson out. But then, every time they go for a pin, Robert just jumps right in and breaks up the pin, right? Like every time. So Robert keeps saving Ricky from getting pinned. Cornette keeps sneaking shots on Morton. Just great storytelling, throughout. So the rally finally starts to happen when Ricky Morton gets his knees up when the Midnight tries to do a high spot off of the top rope. He rolls to get the hot tag finally. Robert comes in, guns a-blazing. He's excited. He's dropping bombs on everybody. He's just cleaning house, beating Stan, Lane, and Bobby all over the place until Cornette hits him in the back with the tennis racket and slows him down, right? The ref don't see it, of course. Okay,
it's got to be loaded.
Yeah, it's got to be loaded, right? Yeah, it's got to be something in there. So here's where we get to the finish. We got the Midnight Express who goes for their flapjack move, which was kind of like one of their finishers back then and kind of one of their setup finishers back then. One of their finishers back then, guys, was a move called the double goozle. All right? It sounds funny, but what it is
it doesn't.
It's somebody rolling under your feet as somebody's clotheslining you at the same time.
So it's like over-under.
Over-under, yeah.
So the nerd and jock spot.
Yeah, they ended up having to not use it as much later on down the road because they were hurting some cats with it. Because
I'd imagine, your table.
Yeah. So they would use this flapjack move, which was kind of So Ricky Morton comes in and spears Bobby out of the way when they go to attempt the flapjack, and then Robert rolls up Sweet Stan to kind of steal the victory here with the cradle. Great textbook heel and face tag team match. Like I said, they pandered to the crowd a lot, got the sneaky stuff in. Ricky got the sell. Robert got the hot tag. You know what I mean? Just a perfectly laid out rock and roll and Midnight Express match, right? And they totally had the crowd. Great stuff. Faces got the win. This is one of a 1,000 great matches that they had. This one just always kind of stands out there. And because this was kind of one that, that a lot sticks in a lot of people's mind, but just a phenomenal match, man. This is Tag Team Wrestling 101. All right. Tell me what you guys thought here throughout this match here. Go ahead, Primo.
Yeah, man. So right off the bat, I put Nick Patrick and Jim Cornette almost fighting was pretty funny and interesting there. Stan, so on the at one point on the outside, Stan shoved the shit out of Bobby.
Yes.
Yeah,
like he was legit pissed.
Yes. Ricky Morton climbing the ladder. Like, I don't mean climbing a literal ladder, but I forgot who he was currently wrestling against in the ring, but he just like steps up over him, climbs the ladder. That's pretty cool to see back then. You didn't see that back then.
Was that was Bobby Eaton? I think he was in the ring with at that time.
I think you're right. Yeah. And then
because I wrote that spot down too.
They went on about the Midnight Express's inventive moves. Shortly after that, I definitely like. I put this as a personal note for me. I definitely like the Rock and Roll Express outfits better than the Midnight Express. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Bobby Eaton hit the
Those
zigzag.
were pretty standard for all of them.
Yeah.
They were just different variation colors.
Bobby Eaton hit the zigzag, which Dolph Ziggler's zigzag.
Yep.
The youngsters from the Volunteer State. So JR assumes wrestling fans are smart enough to know states' nicknames. And then I put, now I'm enjoying the Midnight Express when they were cutting the ring in half, doing heel tactics, quick tags, getting Ricky. They wouldn't let Ricky tag Robert, right?
Right.
And they were cutting that ring in half for a while there.
Definitely.
And then finally hot tag to Gibson like he shot out of a cannon. Like this dude came out firing.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. Like he came out full speed. And then the whole flapjack counter into a roll up. That was pretty neat. A good, a unique ending there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you actually stole a lot of my stuff, but there's a few things. One, I loved how, first of all, the 4 beautiful mullets we've talked about. They were just all 4 of them lovely,
just flowing,
flowing. Kentucky waterfalls, all of them. And it was wonderful. Jay.
Well, have I never heard that yet?
You're welcome. JR looked like a baby. He had to have been.
Oh yes, I love listening to young JR.
Oh my god, his voice is so high. I
know.
And Terry Funk, wow. So he would get so excited. Like, this is what made him like kind of a distraction a little bit, because he would get so excited that he would start talking and then get so excited that he would like stop and then start his sentence again. So he did that he was like a kid. Which could have been, it had its times when it was like kind of charming, and then also I'm like, come on, Terry, like let's go. Again, I loved the Rock and Roll Express when I was a kid, because I was more of a WCW guy, and I always thought that the Rockers, I hated them. I hated the Rockers because all they did to me was rip off the Rock and Roll Express.
Yes, they did.
So I hated them when I was a kid.
Absolutely did, yeah. These posers.
Seriously, it's so clear. Like,
Rock and Roll was way before them. Good stuff.
I love how Jim Cornette, anytime he took a bump, it was great, and I love how he gets like consistently more disheveled as the match goes on. Like, just perfect.
Right.
Tie
buttons coming out of the
like
shirt.
his shirt comes untucked, and his tennis racket shots sound great, and I bet they're super safe too because they have that leather case over them, but they sound fantastic.
Yeah, and he's hitting the ropes.
Whoop. Yeah. They sound great. The whole CPR on the outside when Jim Cornette is clearly awake and conscious, and he was still doing. Yeah. I wanted to be so like, sweet. I was like, sweet Stan, that's not how you do that. Like, you're gonna hurt him. If
he didn't take his American Heart Association.
No, he did not. He needs to go back to lifeguarding class.
Yeah.
At one point, Robert Gibson does just the coolest like head scissors, where it's the head scissors where I think it was Bobby Eaton was standing, and like the way he did it, he was like had his legs around his neck, but he was like up at an angle before he then like rolled, and he like stayed up there for like a second or two.
It's some hang time, yeah.
Yeah, and it was awesome. It was such a cool spot. I loved how it ended, even though it was a roll up, but it was like a cool roll up because you had the spear beforehand, and like the roll up looked good. Like normally roll up victories, you're like, yeah, it's just a roll up, but this time it was like, oh yeah, that was a pretty cool roll up.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love this match. You were right about this being like a heel face. This is how you lay out when there's super heel, super face.
Yeah.
The heels at one point, Midnight Express slowed the match way down with rest holds. And at those points, I'm like, okay, I'm getting kind of bored. But it just makes the inevitable hot tag and everything else so much better. So that kind of thing is needed in matches. Like, not only to like give everyone a chance to like, you know, talk and be like, hey, are you okay? Did I break your face? But then to build up the rest of the match. Like, and it was just great storytelling. And so I loved it. I love this whole pay-per-view. Again, I've watched this match and the main event like 15
right
times.
after this match was the Road Warriors versus Mean Mark Callis, aka Undertaker, versus and Dangerous Dan Spivey, who wasn't there. It was like a mask guy. It was Mike Enos under the mask.
Mike Enos.
So
Teddy Long as a wrestler was on this show.
Holla, holla, holla.
Yeah,
fucking
good
Steiner
stuff
brothers,
there.
like-
All right, boys.
One thing too, real quick, as you noticed, like Rock and Roll Express, looking at them, looking at their style, looking at their gear style, even is, you know, obviously inspiration to so many tag teams. You know, like, you know, Rockers, Young Bucks, Hardys, all kinds of, you know.
Usos say they do the double drop kick because of the
Right.
Rock
Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah.
Classic. They're absolutely
and they're
classic.
still going. They're allegedly on their final tour, but you know
How?
they are.
They've got to be 1,000.
I know. I just saw them wrestle last year. I want to see them wrestle again this year, man. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's my childhood still wrestling, so it's pretty cool. So
yeah, amazing.
Yeah. All right, boys. So we watched the match, man. We gotta rate it here. How many marks out of 10 do you give it?
I'd say I give it a solid 6.5 marks out of 10.
Okay.
And I think it was a great match. It was definitely a clear, decisive heel face. Who you want me to view as the heel? Who you want me to view as the face? Rock and Roll Express with their high spots and their, you know, all their flashy moves, and the Midnight Express with their heel tactics and tag team technician stuff with cutting the ring in half, and then you had, you know, the bastard Cornette on the outside. So it was overall, like I said, I'd say 6.5 marks out of 10.
Wait, is that our new rating system? Marks?
Yep.
How many marks out of 10?
How many marks out of 10?
Can I go? Is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I give this a 7. Mainly because Jim Cornette gets beaten up.
Yep.
And the rest holds, while necessary, they really slow the match down for like a good 4 minutes where you're like, okay, let's go up. Like, if not, I get that they're necessary, but if not for those, it probably would have been an 8. But as it is, I give it a 7.
Yep. For me, I'm going 8.5 marks out of 10. For nostalgia reasons, for two of the greatest tag teams ever. You know, reason why is because, you know, I've watched these two wrestle each other a lot. You know, it's variations of a lot of, you know, different, you know, stories that they told. It had everything. I just think that, it slowed, you know, it got slow at some points, you know, but, you know, I was thoroughly entertained. And, you know, if the finish had been a little different, I probably would have rated it a little higher. But I'm going to go 8.5 marks out of 10, man. A classic tag team match, man. I mean, if you're a tag team guy, you got to go watch this match, Primo, right? I mean, this is
for sure. Tag team guy, mullet guy, all around, you know.
Any of that. If you're an earring feather guy, Terry Funk's got you covered on this pay-per-view. So
earring feather guy.
It's got everything. So I mean, it was the pay-per-view was called Wild Thing, you know, Wrestle War 1990. So there you go. Good stuff there, boys. All right, let's talk about next week, man. We're going to Beach Blast 1992. Sting versus Cactus Jack.
Bang, bang!
Yeah, that one's going to be fun. We haven't watched a good old school Sting match in a while, so that one's going to be good, man.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, me too, man. This is going to be
Sting.
good.
This is like prime. This will be like prime kid AJ.
There you go.
Just marking the fuck out over Sting. Yeah. So I'm super excited for this. This is my bread and butter right here.
There we go. Right. So go watch that one, and we'll talk about it next week. That's going to do it for the Dropkick Discussion of the week.
The This is Big Beef, and you're tuned in to Sit Down Marks with AJ, Dirty Bird, and you know him, Primo. Check it out.
Real quick, is that you laughing in the background, AJ?
Yes, it is me laughing in the background. Yes.
By the way, your hair kind of looks like Big Beef a little bit today. It's got a bit of a beef flavor to it.
He does have a little bit of a beef streak.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, boys. So it's time to bring promo school back. And today's promo school is none other than Bray Wyatt. You know, he's still out there, man. You know, he hasn't signed with anybody. We hear that he's a free agent, but he was once with the WWE, and he was once the head of a very awesome faction called the Wyatt family that I love dearly. And he was once a part of one of the greatest feuds ever versus the Shield. And I was once a huge fan of his and still am. I don't know why I'm saying once.
I don't either.
But today's promo school, Bray Wyatt, the Monday Night Raw debut when the Wyatt family came in. This was, one of the biggest anticipations of call-ups and, surprises. And this was good stuff, man. Just a classic Wyatt family, man. If you love these guys, and you're going to love this promo, and it's going to bring you back to when they debuted. So here we are, the Wyatt family's debut on Monday Night Raw.
I have no followers. I have only brothers and sisters, all in the name of cause. People are sheep. You understand me? They can't lead themselves. They need to be led. People buy and sell fear. They worship war. They crave war. But I'm not afraid of their wars. I created war. And I think it's time for the masses to wake up. Wake up. Wake up! Wake up and look at this lie they're living in, man! The world is deteriorating between their toes, and they do nothing about it. They only stand there, they whisper and wonder, but they never do anything about it. But I've seen it all in my dreams and in my thoughts, and above everything else, I understand this is not the beginning. It's the end.
Man, I got goosebumps from that, man. That almost kind of made me remember back when he debuted, man. Like, I was in the moment there, man. That was awesome.
For sure. Yeah, that whole thing, when they came up, I got to see them live not too long after they came up, and it was awesome. And everything about it, their whole vibe, his, as we've talked about, his creativity, his promos, his he almost gave like a, it's like a, I don't know, like a, these transcendent promos, right? Like they're so crazy and out there, but they make kind of sense at the same time.
Very, very culty, but they make sense, right?
Right.
He's like what Ultimate Warrior wishes he could cut a promo like, because Ultimate Warrior is straight gibberish, but his gibberish was gibberish, whereas Bray Wyatt's gibberish was fucking awesome.
You haven't gave us a good Ultimate Warrior impression in a while, AJ.
Hulk Hogan. Turn the plane into a nosedive, Hulk Hogan.
That may be one of your best yet.
hey, tip of the cap, brother. Tip of the cap. That's good, man.
Thank you.
That's good stuff. Nice.
I was holding that for a while until you asked for it again.
All right, man. Stay up here. We're feeling good. Let's jump on over to these MMA picks, AJ.
Yes.
So, coming into last week, you were 42-42. And, Primo was 9-6. You guys both decided to go with Alexander the Great Volkanovski in the UFC, I think it was 273 main event. So y'all took him over the Korean Zombie. Let's see if you boys were correct.
Fuck you!
Hey! My
Above
man.
average.
Yes. AJ goes to 43-42, and Primo
10.
goes to 10-6.
That's good odds, boys.
43 and 42 at a 500.83% winning percentage.
That's a
Fuck
playoff
yeah.
record.
God damn right it is.
All right, Primo, take a look at that card, man. I'm going to come back to you here. But, AJ, let's talk about this main event this weekend. Let's try to stay above 500, brother. UFC Fight Night, we got a welterweight competition here. All right, so the number 4 ranked welterweight Vicente Luque, the Silent Assassin, is 21-7-1. He is a USA fighter that is 5'11". He is fighting the number 5 ranked Belal Muhammad. Remember the name is his nickname. I'm not saying remember names. Remember the name Belal Muhammad, 20-3-1, USA 5'11" as well. So these guys are very similar in cards, very similar in ranks, very similar in height. So who you going with here, man? You going with Luque or Muhammad?
Primo, give me some sort of visual cue. You son of a bitch. We are going to go with who's younger?
I don't know ages.
Vicente Luque is younger at 30. Belal Muhammad is 33.
Both coming off wins.
We're gonna go with don't say his name. Or don't remember to forget his name twice.
That's who. If it makes you feel bad, that's who I would have went with. He's been pretty hot lately. No, I would have went with remember the name Belal Muhammad.
Remember the name. There we go.
Yeah, that's who he wanted to go with.
Don't forget the name.
All right, Primo. AJ, let's see if you can stay above there, man, with that 43-42 record. So we'll check on you next week.
Yes.
Primo, you've been helping out the gamblers at 10-6 is your record. Looking at that card this weekend, brother, who do you want to go with?
I say that we got a co-main here with somebody who's undefeated.
Okay.
In a Omar Godsdiev. I say he remains undefeated against Baralho in that co-main middleweight bout. I just don't see him losing. Baralho is 10-1 and then 1 no contest. Omar Godziev is 13-0. I think he will be 14-0.
Omar Godzavio.
There you go.
Remember his name.
10-6 record helping out those gamblers. So he's saying go with him in that co-main event. So we'll check back next week and see how the boys are doing. AJ, time to close the show, my man. Let's go.
Well, to close the show, we'd like to remind you that you can listen to the Sit Down Marks podcast anywhere you can get your podcast, including places such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, so on and so forth. Also, catch us live around 6:30 here on Wednesdays. That, by the way, that is Central Standard Time. That'll be an hour later on the East Coast, 2 hours earlier on the West Coast. Moving on, we have merch. Please buy our t-shirts at tpublic.com/stores/sit-down-marks. That website again is tpublic.com/stores/sit-down-marks. We have shirts and mugs and posters and baby clothes.
Baby clothes, baby.
Please buy our things and listen to our stuff. Thank you. You are all lovely.
By the way, I think it's the next 72 hours maybe. All the merch is up to 35% off right now. You get $13 t-shirts. So go check out the merch right now. It's a good time to go check it out. Primo,
Marks
man,
are on sale.
Yeah, next week, dude, we're going to start getting ready to go to Zawa for that 5-year anniversary show. Tell us what's going on next week on the pod, man.
I'm going to tell you what's going on next week on the pod, man. Next week on the pod come in
First of all,
close,
I
Mark.
hope you wear that wig once again, please. I mean,
Yes.
Your hair, not your
Or
wig.
get a new one.
Yeah.
Like have a different wig each week.
Every week.
I'm going to start sending you wigs, actually.
Can you braid
So-
it? Ponytail, pigtails, and shit.
Ponytail.
Can you fluff up the top a little more?
Come on in, Marks. Have a seat. Let's get the preview of next week. Our Dropkick Discussion takes us to Beach Blast 92 as we review Surfer Sting versus Cactus Jack Bang Bang Baby. Also, next week, we will complete our virtual promotions roster with our final draft. And to get us ready for the big 5-year anniversary Zawa show called Us and Them, sponsored by none other than the Sit Down Marks, your boys, baby.
Drum roll, please.
We'll be joined by none other than former Zawa champion Connor Hopkins to talk about his big cage match versus another former guest, Bucky Collins. In the main event, don't miss our interview with those damn Coyotes member, Connor Hopkins. We will see you next week, and Primo loves you.
Primo loves you, baby. Get them baby clothes.
Baby clothes.
All right. Good stuff, man. Yeah, looking forward to getting started down there at Zawa here in the next 2 weeks, man. It's going to be a big show there. And looking forward, man, to that. It's going to be a big pod next week, man. In 2 weeks, we got Dylan coming on the show. So it's going to be some exciting things going on. Once again, reminder, I am your Kurt Angle sit-down marks pay-per-view champion. No days counted needed because I'm going to be your champion for fucking ever. So it doesn't matter. So there you go. Appreciate you boys,
that
man.
settles the issue for once and all. So there you go. Okay.
I had fun today, boys. If you guys got anything else, man, let's get out of here.
Grab them cakes.